What's up, everyone? It's time to talk some NFL DFS, brought to you by ScoutDFS.com. This is the Fuego Pit with your host, Fuego Steve. That's right, we got a new name this week. Go along to match my articles over at Scout DFS. Today I'm going to do a game-by-game preview of the NFL Week 3 games. Also, look for all of our write-ups. Soon we're going to get the live stream going. Just got to finish up some stuff, and we're going to get the video casts as well. So look for all that coming up on Scout DFS, and get yourself over there. If you haven't signed up, go ahead. We got a great price going, only $24.95 a month. That includes all the sports, Scout stores, Optimizer, and our articles. Let's get right off the bat. We'll start off, if you're playing the Thursday through Monday slate, you got the Rams visiting the 49ers. The Rams were favored by 3 to open, and it dropped to 2.5. The over-under was 42. It's now 39.5, or around 40. If I'm fading it, if you're playing the Monday to Thursday slate, if you're playing that little Monday to Sunday early slate, you could play Gurley, you could play the Rams defense, maybe Hyde or Garcon. Unfortunately, the next game we're going to talk about, the Baltimore-Jacksonville, is the other game, so it's two crappy games for that 2-game slate, kind of like we had this Monday-Thursday slate. It's just nothing appealing. So you're going to maybe have to play some players from this game, so maybe Cooper Kupp, Pierre Garcon, Carlos Hyde. Those are some guys that could play in that short or that mini slate. In the next game that I just talked about, you have Baltimore-Jacksonville. This game is being played in London, I believe. Baltimore opened as 4.5-point favors. That's dropped now to 3.5. And the over-under is right around 40, a little less, 39.5. So you got two on that Sunday. On the Thursday-Sunday early slate, you got two games with under 40 point totals, so ugly. The Ravens defense is definitely in play. Buck Allen, maybe Flacco and Macklin on that mini slate. And on the other side, Hearns. If you're playing in that mini slate, all tight ends on all four of the teams, the Rams, the Niners, the Ravens, and the Jaguars, leave a lot to be desired, so you might just have to close your eyes and pick one. What is Ben Watson going to do it again for the Ravens this week? It's hard to predict, so maybe Aline Watson. Hit me up with questions for that mini slate. Heading over to the main slate, we have the Cleveland Browns going to the Indianapolis Colts. Browns, how many times do you say this, are actually favored by a point. It opened at 2. They are now favored by 1. And there's a 40.5 over-under. You could maybe play Kaiser for only $5,000 on DraftKings. If you're trying to save money, this Colts defense is really bad right now, so I wouldn't fault you for that. It's not my first choice, but I could see you doing it. And the running backs are in play for Cleveland. Isaiah Crowell, Duke Johnson are in play against this Colts defense. And maybe Jack Doyle on the other side for the Colts. I don't think I'm going to have much exposure to this game. It should be ugly. Though you never know when you get two teams that aren't so great. Sometimes these ugly games turn into a shootout ugly game. So keep an eye as the week goes along and listen to my podcast later in the week, going position by position to see if anything changes. The next game, we have the Steelers traveling to the Chicago Bears. Steelers are favored by 7.5 points with a 44 over-under right now. That looks like it's dropped a 1.5. I think you could play anyone on the Pittsburgh side. Everyone seems to stay away from Ben on the road, so you'll get him at lower ownership. But the guy, like most, is Bell. I think his price has dropped. I think he's only $8,700 on FanDuel, maybe $89 or so. I will check here on DraftKings. He is 8,800. So he's dropped $1,000 in 1 week. He played 2 tough defenses to start the season. He still got 27 attempts last week versus the Vikings and caught all 4 of his targets. And the Chicago Bears defense does not scare me at all. So I'm definitely going back to Bell this week at his depressed price, because as soon as he has a big game, that price is going to shoot back up. So he's a great play in my mind so far this week. On the other side of the ball, I'm not loving anyone on Chicago. Maybe you go Tariq Cohen if Jordan Howard's out, or maybe you go Jordan Howard if he's set to get a full workload. But I don't like any of the passing attack. You could also go Martavis Bryant, who had a big game last week on the Pittsburgh side. You could also go Pittsburgh defense probably versus versus Chicago, excuse me. Next up, we have the New York Jets at home facing the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins come in. They are favored by 6, and the over-under is 42. It's creeped up a tiny bit, and the line dropped about 0.5 point. I like Jay Ajayi quite a bit for the Dolphins. I liked him a little bit last week. Kind of got myself talked off him. But I do like him this week. I think he's going to be one of my higher projected running backs. He got 28 attempts last week versus the Chargers for 122 yards. He did break 1 for 20, and he got 2 catches on 2 targets, actually. They were only for 4 yards, but hey, on DraftKings, that's 2 more points. So I am a Jai fan. And, anytime a guy runs for 200 yards twice in a season, there's got to be something there. So let's see what happens with him this week going against the putrid Jets. I think he's definitely in play, no doubt. The Dolphins defense maybe versus the Jets as well, I could see rolling out. I'm not really in love with anybody else in this game. And on the Jets side, I think at this season, the only time I'm going to roster a Jet is going to be on a small slate, a 2-game slate, if I have to do it. So unless something changes, Robbie Anderson, I kind of like last year. The Jets aren't very good. Next, we have the Denver Broncos traveling to New York to face the Buffalo Bills. The Broncos are favored by 3, and the over-under is 40 points. A lot of games right around 40 this week. This looks like, according to Vegas, is going to be a low-scoring week. I like Shady McCoy. LaShawn McCoy's definitely in play for me, no doubt. I could see maybe the Denver receivers, but I do like C.J. Anderson. And, I think it's going to be closer. Denver's favored by 3, so, Vegas expects it to be relatively close. So I think McCoy can keep them in the game versus the Broncos defense that did stop Elliott last week, but that, all the Cowboys just look horrendous. So we'll see what happens. But right now I am leaning McCoy again. Check back with me in the later week pod. And I'm not playing Trevor Siemian or Tyrod Taylor, I don't think. We have the Houston Texans traveling to the New England Patriots. Patriots favored by 13 and a half now. The over-under is 44. I'm probably staying away from Brady. I actually kind of like Mike Gillislee. I think they're going to try to. Now the question is, how many backs do they have? And this is Bill Belichick. You don't know what's going to happen, but kind of like Gillislee, I think Brady could get them up early. The problem is you never know. What's a comfortable lead to the Patriots? Is it 3 touchdowns? Is it 4 touchdowns? So does Brady throw 4 touchdowns before half like he almost did last week? He threw 3 before half last week. Does he do that? And if he does that, But the problem is he's very expensive, so I would lean more to the Patriots running game and the Patriots defense in this game. Houston is not a very good offense. There's no one really I want looking at on that side of the ball at this point. Um, we have the New Orleans Saints traveling to the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are favored by 5.5. The over-under opened at 49. It's dropped to about 47 or 46.5 at some places. So that's interesting. But I do like the Panthers side with Newton and Kelvin Benjamin. Maybe McCaffrey, maybe Stewart. I think the Panthers are in play versus a not-so-good Saints defense. If you want somebody on the Saints side, maybe Mark Ingram, maybe Michael Thomas, maybe Ted Ginn. But I think Cam Newton and Kelvin Benjamin are definitely in play, and so are the running backs for Carolina. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to the Minnesota Vikings is off the board, it looks like right now. That's probably because we don't know if Sam Bradford's going to play. If Bradford does play, I would be fine with Diggs and Thielen, Adam Thielen. If Bradford's good to go. On the other side of the ball, kind of like Jacquez Rodgers for Tampa Bay. A lot of people think Evans is going to get locked down on Xavier Rhodes. I could see that happen, but Evans is big. I could see him grabbing a touchdown as well. So I'm not as off Evans as some other people are. Let's put it that way. I think Deshaun Jackson's in play again. Just missed a touchdown. He was one of my plays of the week last week, and he got held, or he would have probably caught it for a touchdown. So I'm going back to the well with Deshaun Jackson. And you could maybe go Dalvin Cook. I'm on the fence on him, so I'll keep you posted on my feelings for Dalvin Cook. And maybe even a little Cameron Brate on the Tampa Bay tight end side. Oh, the Atlanta Falcons are traveling to play the Detroit Lions. This is a 50.5 over-under with Atlanta favored by 3. So this is the, I believe, second highest total on the board. Vegas thinks it's going to be a high-scoring game, and Vegas thinks it's going to be a close game with the road team winning. So, Vegas isn't always right. They set those lines for a reason. They want people to bet, so they want to make it a good line. But they also tend to be close a lot. If they think it's going to be a high-scoring game, it tends to be a high-scoring game. If they think it's going to be a close game, it tends to be a close game. So if they are correct here, then you got to have some players in this game for sure. I think I like the running game on the Falcon side more than the passing, although you could play Ryan and Julio and Sanu maybe. But I think I like Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman more. And for the Lions side, I think I'd go back to Stafford at home. He's certainly going to be higher owned than he was week 1 when we played him at 1%, but he's a good play. You could stack Golden Tate with him. You could stack Marvin Jones. You can stack Eric Ebron with him. And if you want to get funky, maybe roll out the Lions defense. They'll be very low owned, but again, this should be a game, one of the better games of the week for offense. With all these low totals, I think, even if you go Ebron or if you go Devontae Freeman, maybe get a piece of this game somewhere. Next up, we have the New York Pitiful Giants. Sorry to my father-in-law. They just did not look good. Versus the Philadelphia Eagles, going to the Philadelphia Eagles. I expect the Eagles are favored by 6, 43 over-under. Unless something changes with the Giants this week, I expect Philadelphia to win this game. I think Ertz and Wentz will be a part of it. Their running game, Blunt has been non-existent. Sproles has been getting a lot of play. I think Alshon Jeffrey could have his first big game for the Eagles this week. Could see going back to Nelson Aguilar. Ertz, even though he had a fluke catch last week, definitely in play again with Wentz. And I'm staying away from all Giants at this point. Not even, I love Odell Beckham, but I'm not, he's injured. Giants did not look good offensively. They have no running game, so I'm staying away. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks traveling to the Tennessee Titans. I think both sides are in play with this early look. It's a 42.5 over under. Tennessee's favored by 2.5. I could see playing the Titans receivers maybe with Mariota. It could be a contrarian play. People still think this Seattle defense is really good, which I'm not sold on yet. I want to see it happen. I think this is the last week you could go to Doug Baldwin, and Russell Wilson, or if they don't get it done this week, then you can't play them. You can't play them until they show me something. That offensive line's banged up, so I would go back to them one more time this week and hope they get it together and cross your fingers. Next game, we have the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to the LA Chargers. This over-under is up now to 47.5. Chiefs are favored by 3 points on the road. I could see this game being a shootout. It is the third highest total maybe on the board, but I could see that happening. Alex Smith has been playing very well. You got Travis Kelce. Tyreek Hill was a little disappointed last week. And, I can't believe I said Alex Smith, but, he has been playing well. And Kareem Hunt. Now, the problem with Kareem Hunt is he's super expensive now. I'm going to check here on FanDuel for running backs, your salaries. Le'Veon Bell, $8,700. Kareem Hunt, $8,300. So you're telling me Kareem Hunt's only $400 less than Le'Veon Bell? No thanks. I'm not paying that price for Kareem Hunt. It's burned me the first 2 weeks. I faded him in the first week on that Thursday night. I faded him last week, and I'm going to fade him again, I think. I just think I am, especially on FanDuel. But the passing game's in play, and the passing game's in play on the other side with Keenan Allen, Tyrell Williams, and Melvin Gordon's in play again at running back. I believe he will be popular. But rightfully so. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to the Green Bay Packers. Packers opened at -10. That's dropped to -9 with a 44.5 over-under of 44.5. What's going to happen with the Green Bay Packers offensive line? They did not look well. They're missing 2 starters. If they can hold it together, I think Rodgers should have a good game. And I think A.J. Green's in play on the other side. And maybe Dalton. He's 5,100 on DraftKings. He's not looked well at all. They have a new offensive coordinator. Are they going to try something different? I could see it at that price at 5,100. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback, or he hasn't been in the past, unless he's hurt that we don't know about. So the Green Bay Packers defense doesn't really scare me. So at that cheap price, I could see that. And Rodgers, is Cobb going to be out? Is Jordy going to be out? So that clearly puts Devontae Adams and Ty Montgomery back in play. Montgomery was chalk last week for a reason. He did pretty well. I'm probably going back to Montgomery again. And like I said, some Devontae Adams, especially if the other two are hurt and don't play. The primetime game on Sunday night, the Raiders travel to the Washington Redskins. This is the highest total on the week at 54 as the over-under, with the Raiders favored by 3 points. So we expect another shootout close game, or at least Vegas expects that. And I could see it. I think, once again, it's going to be popular with the late night hammer, but I think this is you could stack this game up. I really think you could. You could stack it up. You got Cousins and Carr. Both quarterbacks are in play. For the Washington side, maybe Jamison Crowder, Terrell Pryor as receivers. And, of course, you have Crabtree and Cooper. I think you're going to get Cooper for lower ownership after Crabtree's big 3-touchdown game last week, even though I've always played Crabtree more than I've played Cooper. Marshawn Lynch is in play. Jared Cook, tight end, is in play. So I think there's a lot of plays here. If Jordan Reed's healthy, if they say, you know what, he's a full go, I could see you going to Jordan Reed. So this game could be a juicy late night hammer. You should get some exposure somewhere here. And if you're playing on Monday, we got the Dallas Cowboys traveling to the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not a super fan. Let's see. Dallas Cowboys favored by 3. Over-under's 47. It's hard for me to get excited about either side. Neither team has impressed me so far. Obviously, the Cowboys looked horrible last week versus the Broncos. DJ is gone for the Cardinals, so I'm not sure. I will update my Monday night feelings later, and when we do the Thursday write-up and the cheat sheet. So if you see any guys in there, go ahead and play them. But at this point, maybe Dez Bryant. Maybe you could go Dez Bryant. Fitzgerald, I'm not sure I want to go back to Fitzgerald or Carson Palmer. So it's probably a fade for me now. If you're, and if you're in the primetime slate, it's probably a fade too. I'd probably load up on the Oakland-Washington game and fade the Monday night game. So not a lot I love here. That was pretty quick. Actually, quicker than I thought it was going to be, but you got the gist of it. And we're going to do a much longer pod later in the week with me and maybe Steve Renner, maybe Dennis Roy, maybe Dr. Roto. We'll see. And we will have a position-by-position breakdown. I'll let you know all of our favorite plays by position. Remember to get on over to scoutdfs.com to get all the expert advice for your daily fantasy needs. And soon in less than a month, we got the NBA coming up. So we'll have all your NBA plays as well. All right, so this is going to do it for the game-by-game breakdown. Thanks for listening to the Fuego Pit. I'm out. Peace.